Hi, I'm George Pino, CEO of Commercial Brokers International, and today I'd like to introduce you to Natalie Wainwright at Logic Commercial Real Estate. She is one of our affiliates within the commercial real estate affiliate network that we've created throughout the United States and also in select cities, international cities, hopefully soon to be near you. If we don't have one there yet, we will soon. But we can essentially, we created this affiliate network so that we have the ability to service our clients and their clients as well throughout the entire country. And any major metro MSA, we have the ability now to help service our clients throughout the United States, as well as in London, South Africa, Paris, Bangladesh, Toronto, and a few others. So, I wanted to really showcase Natalie first and her company because I think they were the first company to actually join the Commercial Real Estate Affiliate Network. And I got to know Natalie way back in the day through social media, and from there going to the Commercial Real Estate Influencers Summit and things where I actually met her in person, and then just having multiple either Zoom, Clubhouse, and other meetings and whatnot. So she is one of the top tier brokers. She has an amazing story about how she got into the business, which we're not going to touch base on a little bit here, but I love it. I see a lot of analogies with her and actually my wife from way back, kind of how she got into escrow and title side of life. But anyway, so Natalie, tell me a little bit. Now, you've been in the business for a few years now, I would say.
A few years. Let's double that and flip it and reverse it. So going on to 7 years. And yes, Logic was one of your first affiliates, because if you're not first, you're last. Great movie. And so, yeah, Logic is a full service brokerage. We're independent. We're in a couple of cities here and in Reno. And like you touched on, I've been in the business going on about 7, 8 years, just to age myself there, and was with Cushman my entire career. So I was able to bring that global mentality and having portfolio services as an exclusive tenant rep to Logic with me. And so joining your affiliate network was just a natural progression, right? So when I have portfolio services and I need to be able to find that best broker that's top tier for my office clients, where am I going to check? I'm going to check the affiliate network. And you guys just keep growing. I love the emails and that welcome email, Bangladesh. I like everything that you just named. I'm just excited and proud to be involved. So thank you.
Well, we're excited as well, and we love having you involved as well. Natalie is being a little humble here. She's one of the top tenant rep brokers. Now, her company is full service. They do everything from the industrial to retail to office, any aspect of it, both investments and leasing, sales, disposition. One thing I love about Natalie is that she's being a little humble here. She's only one of 3 tenant rep brokers in the entire state of Nevada. Yeah. So, and if you want another option other than a large global company, yeah. She's pretty much your only option. And I love that for a couple of reasons. And correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be speaking out of turn, but one of the things I love about having independent brokerage companies in this affiliate network is that, if anything, we've all come from a lot of the larger companies or the national or global companies. We've seen what they can do. We see how they do it. And we know what to do, but sometimes we can do it a little bit better, a little bit quicker. We can react a little bit quicker when it comes to the independent companies. We're allowed to market a little bit better, a little bit more free with our marketing, being able to get out there. And more importantly, I think the issue for independent companies has always been the ability to help service the client on a national scale. Now, with the affiliate network, you have the same like-minded individuals and companies. So we have that ability now to be able to service that. Now, on your services with the buyer's rep. I think you do a little bit of flex space as well. Is that correct?
I do flex space as well. And I do want to touch on the fact that if you want an exclusive tenant rep, there's only 3. So that means that we're the only ones that are exclusive, no landlords whatsoever. And I think it's the fact that we're somewhat of a tertiary market, but guess what? We have the NFL now, so it's not so much. But other people do tenant rep within the city, and they're fabulous at it. So I do want to make sure I have to say that because I'm surrounded by the best. But I think what an independent brokerage brings to the table is we're allowed to be a little bit more creative than the global firms. I would never say that we're better. I would never say that I'm better because it's my previous mentor that trained me and brought me from a receptionist at Cushman and Wakefield. And I always want to show the utmost respect, changed my entire life. But I would say that we can be more creative. And I think the days of the Fortune 500s and even the Fortune 100 companies of needing that global brand to get the deal over the finish line and having the global reach, I think those days are numbered. And so we're able to, at these independent firms, get together, lock up and service the clients. And so the freedom to be able to choose the best in each market is so liberating and great. I can call SAORs, I can call CCIMs and find the best for my clients.
Yeah.
I get to choose who I want based on who's best, not because they're in my system and I have to use them. And that's great. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. Without that affiliations, and it lets you offer the best services that who you work with, that you've created these relationships with, and that are going to help service your clients on the secondary side of services. It allows that, and I think that's wonderful. I think one of the key things you said is service, and I think that's also something that is, when you say the changing times of, now companies looking for global companies or global brand names out there in the commercial real estate market, there's really only 3 or 4 of them out there. But it is changing a little bit. People are realizing that a lot of the companies that, you're not, service does not tie to the size of the company. In fact, the company doesn't give service. The service is really given by the agents and the brokers, and that's yourself. So, it allows you what I always liked about independent companies, and we've had our own now for the last 16 years, is that it allows us the ability to react quickly to the changing times. And I think that's even more important now as the pace of things go even quicker with everything from video calls to, just what's happening in the pandemic issues. Things it's popping up left and right, and it allows you or your company, any independent company, a little bit more leeway to be able to navigate around that, as opposed to going through the different layers of corporate
bureaucracy and white papers and legal. And I can tell you, I've never had anybody tell me what to do at Logic on any level, because they just respect me and trust me. And it's just so great. I'm so thankful.
I think they might be scared of you a little bit too. I wouldn't tell you what to do either.
George, as long as you find the button.
And trust. They trust you as well.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, your company, as you mentioned, is full service. Now, what do you think sets yourself apart or sets you and your company apart from other brokerage companies, whether they're independent or global?
Well, I think what sets me apart is easily accessible via Google, right? I think Natalie Wainwright is easy to find. I think, and as with Logic, but why I came to Logic when I left Cushman and literally didn't talk to anybody else in town. And I think I could have, not to toot my own horn, as my grandmother used to say. But I think that Logic has such an incredible brand in the marketplace in the state of Nevada and even beyond, because they've built something so big. And even most recently, adding on a property tax appeal services. And our CEO has a CPA background. And I don't know about you, but I don't have a CPA background. And I just did 2 CPA tax deals, and the decision makers, they all know each other and they all go to the same schools. And actually the guy knew, I was like, oh, you have to know my CEO. And lo and behold, they went to school together and they did swimming together. It was totally bizarre, small world, and they're not even from the same state. but they're just brilliant. The founder of the company is a broker, and they're just brilliant, and they're able to play in the same sandbox with the global companies. And our retail department, we have so many retail teams, and the investment arm is so dominant that they're up and surpassing the global brands. And so I really think that the respect and the numbers that are being pulled in at this firm is what's setting them apart. And the fact that they can do it on such a huge level while maintaining the standards and the client delivery, it blows me away. And that's why I came here. And as an office broker, the office team here, I had so much respect for the way that they delivered for their landlords, because I want to become an owner one day. I want to own office buildings, and I want to know that the brokers that I put on it, because God knows I'm not going to do it myself. I think that's the biggest mistake you can make. I think that's the biggest mistake you can make. I'm going to hire the best broker I can.
agree.
They service their landlords the way that I would want my building serviced. They sent me as a tenant rep at Cushman every suite they had, whether it was 700 square feet or 10,000, 15,000. And I thought, that's where I want to go. I want to go where those two are. And that's why I came here. And the culture here, they decorate for Christmas and just great. They have offices versus the global brands that went to everyone in cubes. I hated being in a cube. And so just they're just different, and they hold themselves to a very high standard. And if you don't deliver, and if there's a problem, they're going to talk to you about it. And thank God I haven't been on the list, but I just think that that's what sets us apart. And I think that that's what you and Joe saw, if I can be so bold. And you guys have done a lot of business out here, from what I understand from Joe. So I think that's what you guys saw.
Yep, no, absolutely. It's that, when it comes to, I mean, we do a lot of recruiting with agents and talking to them. And when it comes to agents, or for that matter, clients, I think the hardest thing to ever really determine is motivation. Everyone can say that they're going to do this, do that, and whatever, but it's that motivation factor. And, you can see that in the people that when you talk to them, that this is what they do, this is what they want, this is what drives them. Something you had mentioned to me earlier is that you were trained, when we were talking a little bit earlier, you were trained that never to count your commissions. And I say that as well to my, invariably I always get asked, oh, what's the commission on that deal? I go, I have no idea until I get the check. I don't pay attention to it. I'm just trying to make sure that the client's getting service and going forward. So I love that aspect and that mentality, because it's that hustle. Because if you work hard and you support your clients and you deliver the service, the money will always follow.
Yep.
And so it's, to me, that's that agents that are all stuck on commission or commission value and stuff. Those are the ones that typically they're worried about it because they're not doing that many deals.
Yeah. And they're not going to last.
So I love that.
Yeah.
It should never get in the way. And you're this way, you're always putting the best property in front of your client that you think is best for them.
And the better you do in my lane as a tenant rep, the better we do our jobs for our clients, the less you'll actually make on your commission. I did it to myself. I introduced a building at the 11th hour that is cheaper, and I will make less, but God, are their employees going to be so much happier, because they can walk across the street and go to Starbucks, and there's all these restaurants, and the employees were so excited I found this building, that one of them found my LinkedIn on their own just to thank me, because there's a daycare for her kid. I bragged to my kids so hard about that. That's the stuff that keeps me motivated, because there's so many days in this business, and I'm sure you can agree that you're tired and it's hard. And so it's just a job where you're the better you do, the less you're going to make, but guess what? You're going to get referrals, and you're going to make more in the long run when you make those decisions for your clients, and always put them first, and never put your commissions first ever, because you're just short-lived decisions.
Absolutely. And also kind of what you were saying a little bit just now is, from what I'm hearing, it's not just putting the clients first, but also listening to the client's needs. And when I say listen to the client needs, I don't necessarily mean what the client's telling you, but really understanding their business and what the needs for that business is. Something you mentioned before, their employees are going to love this because there's whether there's a Starbucks across the street or a great restaurant or other amenities, those are all factors that a lot of people don't really take into consideration or think about, or even employee drive times, that a really good agent that's representing the client or buyer, especially tenant reps, they know these questions asked. They know what to look for and what to actually kind of fill in so that, you're very much vested in the longevity of the client, because it allows you then to get referrals. It allows you to renew the lease in a few years, and all that, as long as you do your job well.
Yeah.
And so I love that aspect about the industry. And from what I'm hearing from you, that's kind of the approach that you're taking as well.
Yeah. And you just never know where that state director or that leader is going to move to a different company. And they have people making decisions for them that are in Chicago and all these hubs. And they don't know that the local team is not that happy in their current suite. And they're just making a fiscal decision versus a human capital decision. And so it's our job that while you're walking the current suite and you're kind of listening to, it's our job to kind of, because we do this 24 hours a day, every day, to kind of figure out how we can make them happy, but also be the fiduciaries to the main client. But hey, we can also do the human thing as well, and see if we can make them happy. And I did 2 birds, 1 stone, saved the company hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now they can maybe hire new employers and maybe get better benefits, but I could also make that mom happy that was driving 40 minutes each way to the daycare. Now there's one right there. She's so happy, and they don't have to get in their cars and drive across the way to food because they can literally walk to food. So, and it was a decision. Literally took about $40,000 off my commission. It was a decision because it was easy math. I was like, this is literally way cheaper. But I was like, this is going to be such a better decision in the long run for, I think they have 120 employees. So it was just one of those things. And I know that was like a little tangent, but it was, I love what I do so much because you're impacting communities, you're impacting landlords, you're impacting so much with what we all do for a living. So if you're thinking about getting into this industry, it's the best ever.
Absolutely. And speaking of kind of what's impacting and what's going on, I know, everyone's heard Las Vegas is on fire. I know it's on fire with, at least on the investment side, kind of the realm I dive into a little bit. But you're also seeing huge growth, development. Part of it, you mentioned the NFL out there now, but what are you seeing in the submarket right now? Are you seeing a lot of companies moving to Nevada, whether it's Las Vegas or Reno, for the tax benefits that they can achieve, or even for the employees? I mean, for a company moving from a high personal income tax state, that could be a huge 10, 13% jump in pay for their employees just moving across the border.
Yeah, so we are seeing that. We're seeing a huge influx from, not to be a broken record, from Southern California, Northern California, and these surrounding states. And it's because of our tax-friendly environment. But I'm also hearing because of our workforce and because of the intellectual capital that our universities are churning out. UNLV and UNR are churning out engineering students and accounting students at these rates with such high graduation rates, but with really high grades. And what's happening is they're staying here in state. And so firms before, we have all the big 4 accounting firms, but these littler guys, they're now noticing our state as well. And so while they've always had maybe a satellite office here in like temporary space or like a WeWork or a Regus, they're now opening full-fledged offices in our Class A. And so these business parks that were historically in 70% vacancy occupancy rates, they're now filling up. and less desirable submarkets are now filling up as well, because the desirable submarkets have no vacancy. And so don't get me wrong, there's vacancy, but not in the size range that is needed. We have a lot of new projects coming. They're pretty much completely pre-leased, and anything that's not, it's just not wanted. And so we have a problem. There's a big problem. And so when I get new clients, I have to warn them, if there is something you want, let's go. There's no time to waste. It's an exciting time to do what I do for a living. And it's also a little scary because there's nothing available. We have not enough space and way too many clients. It's absolutely insane on the office side. The flex side is even scarier. There's in that 6,000 to 12,000 square foot range, we're talking 2% and less submarket vacancy rates, nothing. There's a lot being built, but again, it's pre-leased, and then developers don't want to quote rates because they don't want to undercut themselves. Yeah. So, and you're waiting about a year and a half, and a lot of these guys, they can't wait. So they're having to take space that's not desirable, maybe in the north submarket, at rates that are 20% more than I was seeing a year ago. So it's a very, and it's so played out to say hot market, but I don't know how else to describe it. There's not enough to go around, both on a personal level because there's too many clients, and space level as well.
It seems to be a common theme across the board for most of the major metros. I mean, even I know Los Angeles and Southern California, we've lost some major companies or players, but we're also seeing a net positive growth out here in our submarket. And there's just nothing there. It is tough. It's tight. We're not quite as open yet from the pandemic issues. So our office is still running a little bit slower. But generally speaking, our investments and everything else, it's ridiculous. I mean, I have a client looking for a medical office building to purchase, and I haven't been able to find anything, reaching out to every contact, off-market deals, throwing offers on properties. It's crazy. And I can only imagine how much crazier it is in the Vegas submarket, and not as much in Reno probably, but Vegas definitely. But what's great about that, again, just kind of going back and what we're talking about is having the agents that can navigate you around that, meaning, what are your options? Where are your options? Having an agent that's been in the business for 8 years, that has the contacts both with the global companies, but also with the independent companies like yourself, it allows you to give options to clients.
Exactly. And also having rent rolls, because I have the relationships that I have and the respect that I have and that I've accumulated with the landlord reps, the big dogs at the big firms, because they usually have the bigger, the huge portfolios. They send me their rent rolls. I'm not going to call your clients. I'm never going to, that's not the way I get my clients, like my inbound business. And so I know when tenants are rolling, so I can say, hey, Mr. Landlord Broker, this tenant's rolling. Can I backfill that? So right now I'm doing 3 off-market deals right now. And one of the companies out of Silicon Valley, for 8,000 square feet of Class A space, that we're backfilling a space that never went on the market. So I don't have to fight against 3 other tenants. So using representative, to your point, that has the longevity and has that knowledge can save you so much. And guess what? It's going to be fully furnished. How much? That's $150,000 in savings, a gorgeous furniture. So absolutely. And if you're in a big hurry, like most of these companies are and want to be in, you need somebody that can do that. And also sometimes my clients will be chosen by these big landlords because they know that they probably have the financials. Otherwise I wouldn't be working with them. And they know that I can get the deal over the finish line. And so I feel sorry for the other companies, but I will get the phone call, hey, your client's been selected, we're going to move into leases. And I get to make that amazing phone call like I did to my client last week, and say, hey, you're going to go and get the space and get that. Oh my God, thank you. Which is just a great feeling. I know I could write an email, but sometimes I just need that dopamine hit. And so it's really important to work with the right person. It's a huge decision that you're making. whether you're leasing or purchasing, or just knowing to have representation, right, George? I mean, how many people don't know
Absolutely.
that we exist? That's the biggest
Oh,
thing, right? That's why this video is so important. And I'm going to share it everywhere because people just don't even know we exist. That's our
no,
biggest
absolutely.
competitor.
And I think even if it's, especially you as a tenant rep will appreciate this story. We had an agent that was specializing, they did a lot of retail for national, or actually an international brand, expanding throughout Southern California and Los Angeles. They actually had their warehouse out here that also that was their manufacturing. It was a clothing company, did their manufacturing as well as their offices in that warehouse. And they came to us, came to our agent, said, you know what, we just renegotiated our new office space. I know you do retail. And we just renegotiated our new office lease and warehouse lease. And do you mind taking a look at it to see if it's okay? And my agent said, absolutely. Let me bring in one of my office guys. We'll take a look at it. And, we actually looked at it and said, you know what? We think you can do a lot better. Let's see what we can do. We actually were able, my office agent was actually able, this is a lease that was already negotiated, already drafted. We were able to insert ourselves as the tenant rep.
Good. Thank God.
After the fact. And then on top of that, we renegotiated the deal, and over the 10-year lease term, we saved over $1 million in rent for our client. And it's
that is
and
awesome. Stop it.
But no, but they originally came to us saying that you guys, because they only have dealt with our retail agent, and when it came time for the office, and they were actually even saying, you know what, our attorneys had looked it over and everything, we're all good to go. My CFOs looked it over, we're good. Everything was great, except it wasn't. They were paying above market rent for who they were.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So I think that goes to your point of it's so important to have the right representation that understands that market, that's going to look out for you, even if you've done this before, even if you're a company that's been, that has multiple locations, you still want to have the right person in that locality to help you out.
Yep, 100%, 100%. And I will shout it from the rooftops, and I get responses all the time, or at least have your attorney. No, that doesn't matter. Just because somebody has an attorney, it doesn't matter. They don't know them. I know my lane, they know their lane. We all have our little lanes. I'm really, really good at this, but don't ask me to do that. We all just stick in our little lanes, and this is our lane. So yes, absolutely. And that's why I love how much content you guys put out, because you're just spreading the good word. Okay.
Trying to, I find it a lot easier to do my work when the client is as educated. I love educated clients.
Yeah.
So I always try and help them out and try and explain that as well. And which goes to mind for me, and I kind of want to wrap this up a little bit, is that we've talked a little bit. Something you said earlier caught my ear, and you said I get to choose who I work with. And it's something I say to new agents coming on board all the time, is that the most power that you have as a real estate agent in this business is you get to decide who you choose to work with. You don't have to work with everybody, number one. And number two is that sometimes, if the client's not quite ready, you can advise them, but you don't want to. You want to make sure all the ducks are in a row, and a good agent's going to do that. So tell me, for you, not for your company, because we know your company does all the different aspects, but for you specifically, what and who, and this is my last question, is the perfect client for you?
Great question. So I love to work with tech firms, law firms, any type of an office user, but I love to work with law firms and tech companies, mainly tech companies and entrepreneurs. My threshold is usually that 5,000 square foot range and higher in the office and flex space. On the flex side, it's usually about 10,000 square feet. And if you're renewing, try to find me at least 12 months prior, if maybe 8 months, 6 months You're pushing it, but I'm there to help. And really that's it. I'm here to help. I love what I do, and I will fight for you. Just made a little rhyme. That's truly it. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, in summary, I guess, and this is out for all of our affiliates. We have affiliates now throughout the United States in every major metro, MSA, international affiliates as well. So, if you have any clients looking for any kind of need for Nevada, reach out. You can reach out directly to Natalie. She'll make sure the right person is put on and to service that client. Her contact information is going to be down below here as well. And then, or you can always reach out to myself or my company and go that route, and we'll make sure that we put you in contact as well. So,
Thanks so much,
Natalie,
George.
thank you so much for your time.
I'm so thankful. I just adore you guys. Wonderful.
And it's good seeing you again. It's ages. October, wasn't it? About 2 months ago.
Yeah, the
seems like
CRE
forever.
summit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So hopefully see you again soon in person. If not, we'll look forward to doing more deals.
Let's do some deals. Thanks so much, George.
Absolutely.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Hope to
you.
hear from you. Bye.
Bye.